For an opening bit, all I have written down is something to the tune of Iron Man, but I didn't actually write any lyrics.
Oh,
No, that's the tune, but it would have been like a funny pair.
how about Iron Man, Iron Man.
Yeah, okay, that's way better than anything I could have thought of. So let's say that's the opening.
All right.
I hope it makes it.
I think it has to because we didn't do anything else funny.
Yeah.
As you guys know, I don't know how to start the podcast, so it's either going to be Voss playing air guitar and doing a pitch perfect. I don't know that
was AC/DC, wasn't it?
I think it was AC/DC.
I think you were playing. I think you were humming Back in Black.
It was.
Yeah,
it was. Which is
seemingly
played
was.
in the movie.
Yes, it is played in the movie. That's true.
So Angus Young.
Yeah.
So he's doing a pitch perfect Angus Young. For some reason,
It's in the movie.
it's in the movie, or something along the lines of "Welcome to Late to the Movies." My name is Ben Holt, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week, we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hasn't seen before and really should have by now. This whole month, in honor of the 10th anniversary of the first Avengers film, we're doing MCU movies. We already started with a movie that came out after the one we're talking about today, Captain America, the First Avenger, which was last week's episode. This week's episode, Iron Man, 2008's series kick-offer that is distributed by Paramount in a weird way, which I always forget that Disney was not involved yet.
Yep.
Which is why all like the sex and boobs and stuff, and you're like, this is a Disney movie. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Anyway, my guests this week, left to right across your podcast dial, we got Vaz
Hello.
and Sam.
Hey.
Back for more after a rip-roaring time on draft day, which is tied for the most listens in the first week of any
Wow.
episode. I think because of SEO and a lot of confused people.
A lot of people that probably asked, like, I feel like more of my friends kind of like came in and were like, hey, like draft day, huh? Like, I'll listen to this episode maybe, and then you're gonna just drop all those off right now.
Yeah, then we did Captain America and it got less listens than on its first day because whatever.
Before we move on, I do want to ask, when did you guys get drafted during the draft? I was in the 4th round.
I was a priority undrafted free agent.
Yeah, I was a 6th rounder, but I'm just I think I can maybe punt.
Yeah.
That's all I promised. So they weren't. So I'm surprised I got drafted at all.
I told them that I was just going to drop the Gatorade onto the field, and then I was going to leave. They took me anyway.
You're gonna drop it onto the field.
Onto the field.
Okay,
Like, I'm not going to take it out
right.
of the barrel. I want someone else to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to leave it there.
I like it.
They're trying to convert me to wide receiver, but it's probably because I told them I was 6'4", which is that's not going to go over well.
No, it's fine. Just wear like really long stud.
I mean, you can get that operation that they Ethan Hawke got in Gattaca.
Yeah, the height operation.
That's a real thing now.
Yeah, that's a real thing. It costs like $75,000 to get like a couple inches.
Hey, 6'4" is not too far now.
No.
No, but I mean, then you have people reminding you of Gattaca anytime you bring it up for the rest of your life, and who would want that? So, have you guys been watching anything fun?
True to my word, I did watch Petite Maman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where'd you get it?
It was up in Boston at the Boston Common AMC.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yep.
I've noticed. It's not here.
It's not there. But it's that was a great movie. It's like if you ever want to get a hug, just watch that movie. It's like a hug for like an hour and 10 minutes. It's a lot of it's great. It's great. I would recommend it easily because it's only 70 minutes long. It's an easy watch, and it's heartwarming. It's great.
Yeah. It's unfortunately outside of Boston, you can only get the English version. Small Mom.
Little Mom.
Yeah, it's Little Mom.
Hey, it's Octavia Spencer. She's murdering high school kids.
I'm glad they made a sequel to Ma.
Yeah, that's Little Mom.
It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids crossover with Mom.
Octavia Spencer.
They brought Rick Moranis back for this.
They had to pay him 3 times what he should be worth.
It's essentially just a Child's Play reboot, but Octavia Spencer's character from Ma has been shrunk down into a doll.
I'm really excited about the Maverse.
Yeah, the Ma. The Marvel universe.
The Marvel.
Doesn't even make sense. I'm gonna cut all that out too.
No, we're keeping Little Ma.
Little Ma should stay. I will fight to my death for Little Ma.
I'm gonna look at it and
So
be
we'll
like,
see.
well, the episode's only 45 minutes long, and 10 of it's about the Little Ma universe.
How about you, Aldi?
Yeah. So I watched. Have we talked about Barry? Have I been watching Barry by the last episode?
No,
No.
you didn't talk about it, Barry.
Okay.
I think so.
So I've seen Barry, but because the new season's coming out, Bree has not seen it. So we've been rewatching it. We're in season 2 now. That is the Bill Hader TV show where he is a hitman who is trying desperately to become an actor instead of being a hitman, but is in a Coen Brothers-esque scenario, just continuously dragged back into what is going on. It's really good. It's to the point that, I mean, this has been hashed to death because the show's been out for like 4 years, but like, it's weird to think like Bill Hader, that guy that's in sketch comedy and stuff, is this dude who's winning Emmys for being a really good actor
Yeah.
in a comedy show.
I mean, same thing's happening to Jason Sudeikis
Yeah.
too. So, you know, that generation of SNL is doing pretty well for themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a
I love Hader. He's so cool.
yeah. I follow the SNL subreddit, and they had a post that literally everybody from the 2013 SNL cast has had their own show now, for better or for worse.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah.
some people's shows have sucked and only been there for one season, but they have all had some kind of starring role, at least on like one streaming service for a minute.
So I went to see the 4K restoration of Inland Empire, the David Lynch film from 2006, which is hard to find and I hadn't seen before. So I was excited to go see it. And it was really good. I'd recommend it, but not for everyone. If it's not Lynch 101, I'd say. Like, I definitely say Mulholland Drive, Twin Peaks, a couple other things before you get to this one. But, you know, it was good. Laura Dern's awesome in it. And it's weird to have someone that I like that much, that's such a big, you know, star, have this awesome performance from not that long ago that I just didn't even really know about. And yeah, she's awesome in it. So there you go. Good Justin Theroux. Don't see him in too much stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Jeremy
Leftovers.
Jeremy Irons is in it.
Really?
Harry Dean Stanton in what one must have been one of his last roles, I guess. He's been dead for
Yeah.
a bit now.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, 2006 is a while ago, but still.
I did see him in The Straight Story.
Okay, there you
Granted,
go.
that was before Inland Empire, so.
Yeah. And then just like a lot of crazy movie news. I don't know if you guys saw, but important to me that Justin Lin is leaving the Fast 10.
Yeah, tragic.
movie. It's tragic. He
I do genuinely mean that. It's tragic.
supposedly there was a lot of strife between Justin Lin and Vin Diesel on set because Vin Diesel was, I guess, real fat and showed up late every day.
You're not part of my family.
Yeah. And so Justin Lin has left the family, and they did hire another guy to direct, but it's not like a big name. So
I remember the name coming out, and I remember whatever he did, I was like, this is not looking good.
it's Louis Leterrier who,
Leterrier.
yeah, or Leterrier.
Sounds like a left wing
maybe.
for the Canadians.
I mean, yeah, really. And so this was, when I saw it, the headline was the guy who made the Edward Norton Hulk and Now You See
Oh,
Me.
no.
That was it.
That's the same guy?
Yeah. And as usual, we'll do a quick 1-minute plot summary. And to establish, I've seen this movie a bunch of times. You've
I've
seen it a bunch.
times.
Vaz has seen it a bunch of times. Sam has never seen this,
Miraculously never seen it, no.
which is crazy, man. You've seen a bunch of Marvel. It's not like
Yeah.
you're an anti-Marvel.
I mean, we can go into that either now or after for the reason
Uh,
why I haven't seen it.
I'd say do the plot summary
Yeah,
first.
okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Sure. All right. So Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, and he's been kidnapped by terrorists. And then freeze frame, it's like, oh man, how did I end up in this situation? And then they zoom back, and he's selling missiles and stuff. And then he does a bunch of stuff, which ends up with him getting kidnapped. And then he's kidnapped, and then he spends about 45 minutes building a rocket, which is, spoiler alert, not a rocket, it's a suit. And the terrorists are like, where's my rocket? And he's like, guess what? I'm in a suit. And then his buddy dies. And then he comes back. He blows everybody up, and he comes back, and then
30
Jeff
seconds.
Bridges is there, and Jeff Bridges isn't evil, but he's evil, and everyone knows it. And then he's like, I gotta be a superhero and save the people back in the place. And he goes there, and Terrence Howard, who later becomes Don Cheadle, is like, you're blowing up my stuff, and they're like, that sucks. And he comes back, and was like, oh god, Jeff Bridges was evil the whole time. Then he's in a bigger suit, and then he beats up Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges dies, and then he's like, hey, I'm Iron Man. Scene.
Yeah.
How much more time does he have?
2 seconds.
Go.
Iron Man.
But I forgot how 2008 this movie is in so
Yes.
many ways. But
Yes.
Yeah.
to take us back there, what were you doing that you didn't have time to see
Yeah,
this?
so I don't know if people remember 2008, but superhero movies weren't good. Like, I mean, depending on who you ask, like
Shots fired at The Dark Knight.
yeah. So
Yeah.
The Dark Knight, that was the thing. It was the same year.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's just crazy.
I
to
was
me.
not. I was not and am not a huge comic or superhero person. I can respect them. I don't think they're bad mediums. I don't think they're bad things. But like, you're coming off, Spider-Man 3. I'm trying to think like the first
Whatever X-Men movie they had
the
out.
first Hulk movie. Like there wasn't like a ton of stuff out that people were like, you have to see this movie. Like MCU wasn't there yet. Batman Begins had come out. I also hadn't seen Batman Begins because a lot of the superhero movies that I had grown up watching were bad. It was like the original Batmans and
The Fantastic Four with
Fantastic
Chris
Four.
Evans and Chris
I
Callow.
had seen and hated. That first Hulk movie in 2003 with Eric Bana was like literally one of the worst movie theater experiences of my life. I couldn't see shit. They're fighting poodles. I don't know. Like I'm out. So like,
I think that's Ang Lee's follow up to Crouching Tiger.
yes,
Dread.
I believe you're right. So I'm. Yeah, so
They're fighting poodles out here.
yeah, so 2008, I'm out, and then people saw Iron Man. Iron Man was great, and everyone liked it, and I was like, cool, I missed it in theaters, even though people saw it like 9 times in theaters. And I hadn't seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang yet. Like I hadn't seen. There were a lot of things that led me to liking Downey Jr. and stuff that I hadn't really
Yeah, you just haven't gotten
experienced
there yet.
yet. So then Avengers comes out in what 2011.
Avengers is 2012.
2012. So Avengers was my hop on point where I was like like Avengers is coming out. Do I need to see the first movie? And like whoever I was talking to at the time was just like, no, like the whole point of Avengers is like, we're opening the door to the bus, jump on now, and then you can go back and watch the old movies.
That's fair.
So I jumped on at Avengers. I have gone back and saw Cap, but I didn't see Cap at the time.
Yep.
But I'm still not crazy about the MCU. I've seen all the Avengers movies. I've seen all the Guardians movies. I've seen Thor Ragnarok. I've seen like the ones that are considered like generally really good, other than Iron Man. I've seen, and I haven't seen Thor: Dark World. I haven't seen Iron Man 2 and 3. I haven't seen like a lot of the ones that are not super like great, but
We refer to those as the skippables.
as the skippables.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I've seen.
There's 27 now.
Yeah.
So
I've probably seen like 15 off the top of my head. Maybe 20, somewhere in that
which in
range.
that's
any
actually a
in
good
any
chunk.
other series that's in this series too, that's like when it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
crazy you haven't seen Iron Man. It's like, well, I've seen 20 of the 27
Yeah,
movies.
and
Like,
it's-
it's pretty good.
Yeah, and to be fair, most of them I've seen later. Like I've seen all the
Yeah.
Spider-Mans in theaters.
Yeah.
I've seen all the Avengers in theaters. But like I watched Cap late. I watched Doctor Strange on a plane. Like I like a lot of times it's just like, oh yeah, sure, I'm down. But yeah, I just had never gone back and watched Iron Man.
It's crazy to think that this is. We did the Captain America First Avenger movie first, which most of it is chronologically earlier, but this is 3 years before that. This is a 2008 movie. I was still in high school. You guys, graduated high school 2008?
I
Yep.
just started college.
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2008.
Cool.
Yep.
So it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I have a couple different points of data to kind of time capsule us into 2008. First one being this movie, as of yesterday, was 14 years old.
Mhm.
Yesterday, May 2nd, was also I think it was 19 or 18 year anniversary of Memories of Murder, the second Bong Joon-ho movie, and the first one to really get any kind of notice in America. Awesome movie. You should check it out. It's like Zodiac, but it'll make you think that Fincher ripped off Bong Joon-ho. Both great movies, but I kind of like Memories of Murder better.
Mhm.
And yesterday was also the 25th anniversary of the first Austin Powers movie.
Damn.
So today, Iron Man 1 is 3 years older than the first Austin Powers movie was when Iron Man came out. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And my second point of data, early, maybe the fourth line in the movie, Tony is asked by a soldier if it's true he went 12 for 12 with the previous year's Maxim cover girls. Here's 2007's Maxim cover
Oh,
girls.
yes. I thought about looking that up at the time, but I
January, Lacey Chabert.
Oh, all right. Well, she's probably. I mean, they're all going to be too young for him.
Yeah.
Way too young. Not
Good
not
for
the
Lacey
worst-
Chabert.
Not the
Yeah.
worst offender.
2008, a few years off Mean Girls.
February, Eva Mendes.
That makes sense.
March, who he had a scheduling conflict with, Christina Aguilera.
There's a lot more famous people on Maxim than I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot more
Same.
models.
I thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
Okay.
or musical artists.
April, Fergie.
Okay.
There's a musical
that one
artist.
I can see.
Special collector's edition in April, Rose McGowan.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Grindhouse.
Yeah. May is Rosalind Sanchez.
That's the name I don't know.
Yeah.
So there was a couple that were like names I don't know, and I only saved the screenshot, but I didn't just like go to the page because that would have been too sensical. Rosalind Sanchez is in Rush Hour 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
June, Sarah Silverman.
Huh. Okay.
Okay.
July, Megan Fox.
Okay.
That's straight off of Transformers, I believe.
Is it? Yeah, that
It
would make
would be,
sense.
yeah.
I think 2007
Yeah.
is first Transformers.
That makes sense.
August.
Sorry if I could cut in. What's Sarah Silverman doing in 2008? Like her
Oh, I
shows.
guess, no, it's technically 2007, right?
Oh, that's true.
It said the cover is
I think
her.
just being funny.
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman program, I think.
Yeah, it was still on. I was gonna say, is that
Yeah.
one still on? That makes sense.
There's like a big fake gorilla arm holding her up, and it says Sarah Silverman, the new Kong of comedy. And I don't know the context.
Yeah. I mean, I figure everything's to promote something. So you figure like
Maybe she had a good joke about King Kong movie
she
from
might have.
2005.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea. July was Megan Fox. August is Hilary Duff.
Okay.
That seems very
I don't
odd.
know what she's doing, but
And in 2008, I don't
married
know.
to Mike Comrie probably. But
You're right, yeah. September's Lindsay Lohan.
All right.
So, okay.
Lindsay Chabert got in there before Lindsay.
Tail end
Yeah.
of Lindsay Lohan pre-relevance. Now she's hopefully
What year's Mean Girls?
Mean
I
Girls
think this is
2004.
Okay, so this is, yeah.
So I shouldn't say pre-relevance. I should say her like first. Her like she gets that, then it's like the weird machete period, and then she goes underground for like 5 years, and now she's back doing whatever.
She's in like a Netflix Christmas movie this year.
She's
currently in
she's evidently in like a good place. Like I saw an
Yeah,
interview with her
supposedly.
that she's like
Good
she's
for her.
over.
She's good.
She's
She had a
got
rough patch.
Yeah,
Seems like
so
she's had a lot of
this is
plastic
pre. I
surgery.
think this is like early to middle rough patch. Lindsay Lohan is 2000.
Yeah.
I think this is the one we thought like, shoot, she's probably doing fine.
Yeah, it's like she's
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
she's on the cover of Maxim in September 2007.
good for her. Good for all these people. They got paid.
Yeah. October, Erica Durance. She plays Lois Lane in Smallville.
Oh, okay. I never. Saw
Okay.
that.
never saw
But
it.
who is only a character in like the latter few seasons.
Oh, okay.
Because before that, it's Kristen Crook from Eurotrip, who plays Lana
really?
Lang, who's
It could be
the
real.
who's the small. Yeah, it was. I always remember it was really confusing because Smallville, basically like the Riverdale of Superman. If you're a young person and don't remember Smallville, and I think it was also in the CW.
Yeah.
It was.
They had not Lois Lane as a love interest, but a different character that they made for the show named Lana Lang.
I thought Lana Lang was. I think Lana Lang was already a character in Superman.
I looked this up because I was curious, and it said they made her for Smallville.
Really?
This is a bucket
Wow.
list situation.
Wow.
Which is weird. But it's like, yeah, at that point, you have what 80 years of Superman lore to pull from.
Yeah, you couldn't think of another lady from there.
Same almost name. Anyway, we'll cut all that out. The October special limited edition, Ben Stiller,
Okay.
and
That's good.
He needed the money.
November is Eva Mendes again.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, this is prime Eva Mendes, so
Yeah, it's
it
pretty
makes
prime.
sense.
Yeah.
And then 2000. Then December is
Eva Mendes again.
then December is Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what she was doing. Oh, she might have had the crazy ones. That
The one
Robin
with
Williams
Ron
show.
Williams.
That might have been later. That was like right before he passed.
Yeah,
I think he
true.
passed in the 2010.
Grudge is like 2004, 2003, right? So this is way after that.
But
so,
yeah, no, interesting.
so-
So Tony Stark definitely didn't bang all those very famous people.
So on a weird technicality, he said because, and not for the same reasons, he said he had a scheduling conflict with March, but there were twins on December, so he got to 12.
He did go 12 for 12.
Weirdly, because Eva Mendes is on there twice and Ben Stiller's on there, through the 14 covers in 2007, there are only 12 unique women.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
if
I like
he
to
might
think he
have gotten
banged Ben Stiller too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could have.
So we got lucky number 13
Yep.
is Ben Stiller.
I think that was before Ben Stiller got married too, so it would have worked
Yeah,
out
no,
for
it
both of
worked.
them.
Yeah.
It would have worked out. That's where we are in 2008. A whole different world with
Yeah.
whole different famous people. When the heroes of superhero movies can still be like, "Hey, toots,
Yeah,
nice
I was gonna
ass."
say Leslie Bibb falling for toxic masculinity within 10 minutes was certainly a feeling.
Yeah.
Because like all he is rude to her, and she's clearly like, "You're a bad person," and he's just like, "I'd like to be a bad person to you," and then they just
like, "Okay."
smash cut to them railing.
Not only just a bad person, but like you're selling arms to
Yeah.
terrorists.
Yeah, not just rude, but also on every level,
Yep.
like ethically
Yes.
horrifying. And,
And
yeah,
that-
she's fun.
And then Gwyneth Paltrow has a really mean line, which I don't think would
Yeah.
fly. Oh, where she
Sometimes they take out the trash.
Trash.
Too. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, we'll get to all that stuff. What'd you think of this movie first time around?
So I thought, so it was weird. I was talking to Bree, like right as I finished, like one of my first thoughts is one of my things it's hard to put into perspective 2008 Marvel and superhero movies. I think this movie is genuinely funny, which is like helpful, but like putting it in the context of like a Thor Ragnarok or a Guardians, it's not the same level. It's not trying to be. It's fine. But it's
Yep.
more like it almost feels like, well, it doesn't really achieve that level of that. It doesn't achieve the most action because it's scaling. You know, everything scales up. Like the interesting thing is for this movie, you're fighting terrorists and weapons manufacturers and mercenaries. Like, you know, like there's no aliens. There's no, you know, like
So
what is
speaking of 2008, we're
Yeah.
still,
I was
you know, George W. Bush is the
Yeah, I
president
was-
when this
I
movie
was-
comes out.
I was joking to Brie. I was like, it's 2008. Who we fighting? That's right, terrorists and like Blackwater mercs. Like
yeah,
it's like-
yeah.
But I genuinely think good movie. I feel like people put Iron Man in like a hard top 4 or 5 for like Marvel movies overall. I probably wouldn't put it that high, but that's more of my own personal taste. Like if I think about like my favorite Marvel movies from like just an overall standpoint, like I probably put Thor Ragnarok 1 because I just love how
Mhm.
funny that movie is. Probably put Guardians 1, maybe Guardians 2 in there. I would be on an island with Guardians 2. I understand that. And then probably original Avengers I really liked, and Civil War also is up there.
Okay.
Like, so that's kind of where I might be forgetting something off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but I feel like Iron Man people think is like a huge movie, and I thought the pacing's a little slow. I don't think it's bad, but the pacing's slow. He's in that cave for a while.
Yeah, he's in that cave.
He's in that. He does not have the Iron Man suit on until over an hour into this movie. Besides the weird primitive prototype that he has
Yeah.
in the cave, like he's not, and it spends a lot of time not having him as a super. I know it's an origin story, but it has a lot of time of him not being a superhero, and then the amount of time he gets to be a superhero is very small scale compared to what we see. So that's what I was saying. It's kind of hard to scale back
Yeah.
to 2008.
Yeah, I think I have at least a few friends, some of which will be on the next episode when we do the Avengers next week, where that for them this is one of the top movies. I think I have one friend who says this is their favorite movie. Full
Yeah.
stop. And
Wait, of all time?
Yep, and
Oh,
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like it a lot. It got a legit lull from me. The time that he gets sprayed by the
The robot,
yeah.
arm after the test flight and he falls through the roof.
So this might
Funny.
just this might that also got an out loud laugh for me. This might be just my like not paying attention. Is that robot in more stuff?
Yes.
Is in the
He's also
Avengers
in the
and
newest
stuff?
Spider-Man movie.
Okay, so like that's just me not having been introduced to the character, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming like a lot of it is just
You've
kinda
just been
like,
seeing this robot arm in movies and
but
been
like,
like,
I don't think the
"Who's
robot
this?"
arm has had like a lot of gags other than that.
No,
I
this
think
is-
by
this is
far
his
the
He
most
like
gags.
talks to it and it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
a name.
Well, I've seen,
It
you know,
has a name.
I've seen all the but
Is
it's
it
just
arm?
Buddy. It's something. He says Buddy a lot to it. But I feel like I've seen a lot of movies of Robert Downey Jr. just working on stuff in a lab because that's like happens in a lot of the Avengers movies. So like,
and by robot, you of course mean Jarvis, right?
I don't mean Jarvis.
You don't know which other movies Jarvis pops.
the robot arm.
No, I know.
Jarvis, I've recognized.
I just thought it'd be
but-
funny to not realize that that's like
It's
Paul
wait,
Bettany.
Paul Bettany's in this?
Is Paul Bettany in any of these other movies?
Is he that weird red guy? Dang.
No, that's Arm.
Oh, that's
That's
Arm.
Arm. Yeah,
of course.
it's weird.
But yeah, no, he was great. I loved. I was shocked how great when he's. This is skipping to the end, but it's
Sure.
Arm related.
Screw it.
When Jeff Bridges takes the artificial heart powered palladium heart, whatever the hell it is,
Yeah.
out of Tony Stark, and he's crawling trying to get to the backup heart that Pepper has put in a little glass case for him, and he just can't make it. And then the robot very, very slowly, just like dramatically lowers it so that he can hold it. I was like sitting there going, he doesn't make it. I'm like, in my head, I just wasn't thinking all the way through. I was like, we're really gonna
He
have.
died,
He's just
Peter.
gonna, well, I didn't think he was gonna die, but I was like, is he really gonna have like
does it show up in
road?
other
Like,
movies?
I was literally, my thought was
Oh
like,
yeah.
do we need like somebody else to save the day here? Because it just seemed like such like I wasn't anticipating like the arm coming down yet. So I was like, this seems like a wildly unnecessary like scene to have him crawling all this way just to wait for somebody else to like come and just go. But yeah, no, that was a good payoff. I mean, it still ends up kind of happening anyway because they do the gag, or not the gag, but they do the like reveal of him like keeled over, and then it like you show that he does get the heart in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, he
anywho.
probably would have died if not for that arm.
Yeah. When do we talk about Terrence Howard? Just
We'll get
getting
there.
Punted from this movie.
We'll get there. I don't know. Do we want to like? It is. You haven't seen it before, but if you're listening to this, there's a good chance you know the plot, so we probably don't need to go beat by beat.
Yeah.
But did anything surprise you aside from how long he was in the cave?
No, like I saw, I mean, other than just like the knowing Jeff Bridges is the bad guy, because one, like you're just looking at it, like just from a standpoint of like, I already know he's the bad guy just from like
He's
just
not in any of these other
osmosis.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in any other ones.
He kind of looks like Dick Cheney.
Yeah, he's clearly looks bad. And even against, he looks menacing on the poster. Against all that stuff, even just the rule of it's it's the beginning of Act 3 and we don't know who the bad guy is yet. It's probably the most obvious person who's the bad guy. So like his reveal when he's like, "Who do you think filed the injunction?" It's like, yeah, well, I knew it was you that filed the injunction.
Right, yeah,
I've
no,
watched Succession now, 20 years in the future. I know who's filing injunctions. But
He starts talking in a Scottish accent, telling him to fuck off.
Fuck off.
But yeah, so like I wasn't surprised by any of that. I wasn't surprised by like they had a weirdly dramatic reveal about the head terrorist guy still being alive. I was like, yeah, he shot a rocket that landed like 10 feet to the left of him.
we
and
saw
they
that
didn't
guy.
show his body. Of course,
We saw that guy fall down like a soccer player.
Yeah.
But, like, that was it.
I'm surprised he had the amount of wound that he had. Like,
Yeah, I do like that that guy's just around and you're like, this guy can't be the villain. And it's like, yeah,
there's no way this guy's
Then the actual villain's there and he's like, the guy's like trying to make a deal with Stain, Jeff Bridges' character, Obadiah Stane, Obi. And Obi's just like, yeah, you're not shit to me, buddy. You're a very weak character and now you're dead. I'm gonna take all your shit.
Yeah. I also loved a character from the beginning whose name I already forgot. Yasmin?
Yasmin.
Something like that? Jensen.
I will say-
Yasmin.
On this watch, I actually really like Yasmin.
Yeah, Jensen.
Jensen.
Yasmin
Yasmin.
is such a good. Jensen, like, again, without the forethought of just being like, he's not in any of these other movies. Like, even if I was watching this the first time, I'd be like, oh, when does this guy die? Is it 20 minutes from now or is it 40 minutes from now?
Extremely similar role to what Tucci does in Captain America.
Yeah.
Now obviously there's some obvious differences, but as far as what they mean to the main guy,
Yep.
and you're like, oh, I'll never forget you. I'm doing this to make you proud. I'm not going to mention you in the other 8 movies I'm
Yep.
in. But we'll know.
Yeah. Like, oh,
We'll know that you sort of remember it.
Yeah, we're gonna show like a newscaster who's out in that area not helping anybody, but just like, God, it's so bad out here. All these refugees are walking. I'm just standing here. This person's looking for their husband who is helping a terrorist camp, and he's like, I can't watch this. Turn it off.
Oh man, Vaz, what do you think? Talk more.
Okay. All right. I will. I think it's a good movie. I think it aged decently well, considering
Honestly, yeah, considering
aged
the
well.
kind of surface level misogyny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
a lot of it is due to.
I honestly think it's worse than Iron Man 2. because
it's worse than misogyny.
the misogyny is
Yes.
worse in Iron Man 2 because of all the Black Widow stuff.
Yeah. The misogyny in Iron Man 2 is worse. Yes, because yeah, we can get into that when we talk about Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Uh,
Coming next year. I don't know.
but for this one, a lot of it is just due to the charisma and charm of Robert Downey Jr. Just carries a lot of this movie. And it's weird that it was like so strong that it created this whole franchise, and that Iron Man is, you can argue, is one of the most important movies of the millennium.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3 made like a 1.2 billion itself. Like, never mind the Avengers movie.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a little weird to judge this one because it's sort of like the what It Happened One Night is to rom-coms. This is to comic book movies, considering it like, all the like comic book movie tropes. This is a lot of it came from this. Yeah. But it still holds up decently well. I mean, not all of it, but it's fun. I also enjoy the part where he just like spends like a half hour like building the suit in his garage. I just thought that was fun. I like the stupid scene of him putting the robot arm on from the computer and like unnecessarily having like put it there. Like, this doesn't seem necessary, but it seems stupid and dumb.
When he's doing the tests and it's just, I mean,
not the car. Oh, desk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that stuff.
It's like a lot of CG, but it is just Downey.
Yeah,
just in a
him
room
being thrown around.
And they're just like, I mean, they pay him $500,000 for this movie.
Yeah.
And he obviously has a lot more than that for movies he makes now. But they must have just been like, oh, this guy's a special effect because he's just popping off the screen. It's pretty incredible what he does with this character over the course of the whole thing. And I don't mean to sound like a Marvel shill, but I don't know. I think it is one of the signature characters of our last cultural decade.
Yeah, he's by far,
and he's just plug and play. He just has it down.
Yeah, he is Tony Stark from stop to finish. Like, part of the thing going into this that I thought was going to be interesting was like, oh, I'd love to see kind of how Robert Downey Jr. like breaks into this character, how it's evolved. Nope. No like the character has an arc. The character gets, the character has an arc for sure. The way he portrays that character is the same from this to Endgame. Like, just
and
it's amazing. Actually,
I don't know too much about like Iron Man, the comic book character before this. I only know like, oh, he's the alcoholic guy who's in the iron suit.
Yeah.
But after this, I'm pretty sure Marvel was just like, oh no, he's always been Robert Downey Jr. type. So they pretty much just reworked him around Robert.
Yeah,
it's such a stark contrast to the to the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Like, you think about the same year. Sure. Dark Knight's coming out, which is probably the other most important the other most important comic book movie of like the last 20 years. Coming out in his,
I mean, technically the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man are in the last 20 years too.
Yeah.
So,
but I guess
I just like, for movies that like made their mark, I feel like I know those Spider-Man movies were super successful, but they did not like. I mean, they led the way, but like they did not leave.
MCU wouldn't have happened without those movies. We all know that. But
I think those movies did a lot more for superhero as a genre than we're maybe giving them credit for right now. But
we are.
But for the last decade of film culture, it all comes from what happens with this Iron Man movie, and especially what happens with the first Avengers movie and then MCU going forward. Not just superhero movies, but all of Hollywood has reorganized itself around how much success they've had.
Yeah, and to the point that I feel like it's amazing to think that I feel like being really into comic books and really into superheroes was always like at least a bit nerdy. I feel like it's not. I mean, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not in high school and stuff. But like, I can't imagine that like if somebody's like, oh, I have like an Iron Man like themed, shirt or backpack or something like that like maybe backpack's a little nerdy, but like no one's gonna be like, oh man, what a nerd, he loves those $1 billion movie franchises.
Yeah, no, that's dead. It's they won. that is the dominant culture now
I thought at the time,
by
like,
far.
if you would have asked me when Iron Man came out, or even like before, maybe everything before Avengers. When Avengers came out, I was like, oh, they definitely have something here. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's
even not being a superhero fan, like going to see that movie, liking that movie, being surprised how much I liked that movie, and then just seeing like the response to it, and them just like when you hearing them being like, we had like at the time they're like, we got phase 1, 2, 3, you know, like we got movies for like because like the movies they were talking about when Avengers came out were the movies that are coming out like now.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Yeah, but like I mean, I remember looking back at the phases and then being like, we're gonna, you know, like they've already announced like Avengers. They announced all 3 Avengers movies, which ended up being 4 because they broke the last one into 2 movies, which was smart because billions of dollars, but maybe annoying for. It's more annoying when when books get broken into 2 parts, but like that movie being broken into 2 parts, I think was perfect.
I think it was fine. They were different enough, and
I mean, the first
I don't know.
Infinity War 1 doesn't really have much of a story. It kind of just stuff that happens, which is still pretty good.
I like Infinity War.
I think I like Infinity War more than Endgame, which I know is not what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
Whatever. We're talking Marvel movies all month. This is the only episode you guys are on, so if you have Marvel opinions,
we got to get it out now.
You got to. To take it back to Iron Man, we were talking about Downey and his casting and such, so let's go into some of the context. 1990, Universal buys the rights to Iron Man from Marvel. 1996, Fox buys it from Universal. While it's with Fox, Tom Cruise is connected to it to star and to produce. Nick Cage also wants to star in it, and they approach Quentin Tarantino to direct. Nothing comes of it. They sell it to New Line in 1999. New Line starts talking to Joss Whedon about making it. And they also, to write it, approach some guys that if you're nerdy about people who write superhero movies, you've heard of, namely David Hayter and David S. Goyer. They have,
David Hayter, the Metal Gear Solid voice guy?
The guy who voices Solid Snake and who wrote the X-Men movies. Yeah. And David S. Goyer, who wrote Dark Knight, ultimately, and some other superhero stuff, too. They don't make it. In 2005, the rights revert to Marvel. No one wants to write it because Marvel wants to produce it themselves instead of selling the rights to someone else, and everyone says that's a losing proposition. Marvel's going to make these movies. No, thank you. Eventually, they hire Jon Favreau in 2006. They have to do a lot of focus group testing to find out that everyone thinks Iron Man's a robot, or they don't care about Iron Man at all.
Yeah.
So before the movie comes out in pre-production, they're doing like awareness campaigns about here's who Iron Man is. He's a man
who puts on a robot suit.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just a suit. It's not a scary robot. He's not going to hurt you. He's a nice guy. You're going to love him. Jon Favreau in pre-production describes the movie as if Robert Altman had directed Superman.
That's not how that happened.
Is this the same Robert Altman we're thinking about?
He originally approaches Sam Rockwell to play Iron Man, but ultimately, after meeting with Robert Downey Jr., goes, actually, no, that's the guy who's going to be Tony Stark. Says the quiet part out loud, basically. And not that they were hiding this or anything, but they're just like, yeah, you know what? I think Robert Downey Jr. can relate to this character a lot.
Yep.
This sort of playboy asshole guy who's had a lot of ups and downs. Jeff Bridges is actually cast before they decide on who the villain's going to be. They've been through that, 20-year span almost. Lots of different ideas about who the villain should be. Obviously, Mandarin being the main Iron Man villain. They ultimately decide, maybe let's have Mandarin kind of in the background, like an Emperor Palpatine thing.
Yep.
And the way they end up paying that off in Iron Man 3 was they just kind of punted on it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I guess in Shang-Chi, they've retconned that into being something else too. But whatever. The plan was to have Stain be a villain in the sequels and to have Jeff Bridges come in again and again. Terrence Howard is the first person they cast and is paid the most.
Yep.
Out of anyone in the cast. So do we want to talk about Terrence Howard a little bit?
Oh, okay. Is that why he's not in the other ones?
I read it today. Terrence Howard was originally told he would sign to a 3-year deal. It must not have been that ironclad, but he was signed to a 3-year deal. And according to him and only him in an interview, they were told, or he was told specifically, he was supposed to make $8 million for the second Iron Man, and he was told, we're going to pay you $1 million because we don't think it matters if you're in this movie or not. So they offered him $1 million because it's like, oh, we'd like to have the continuity of the character, but they probably knew they could go get Don Cheadle for not that much more. I would assume Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle was someone they had thought about in the first place for the first Iron Man. Too.
And I mean, Terrence Howard, he's had a fine career. He had a fine career before this. He's had a fine career after this.
Yeah, and he's a fine actor.
Yeah,
they just they just don't have him do anything.
Yeah, they don't have him do anything. He's completely unnecessary. You could have had literally a no-name actor do that role, and it would have been fine. He didn't have to do really any acting.
Yep.
He got drunk on that plane.
Yeah,
and that sort of hints at what Rhodey eventually becomes as a character in these movies, but not for the rest of this one.
Nope.
And they even have. I always kind of feel bad for Terrence Howard watching this movie when he looks over at the War Machine suit, and the music starts swelling, and then he goes, next time, which is literally, we'll see you next year, kids.
Which is a good bit, but yeah, it's funny how much it didn't pay off.
It doesn't work for Terrence. Not a good bit for Terrence Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a really good actor, and I guess he's difficult to work with, but they don't give him much to do in this part.
Arguably, you can say that for everyone in this movie who's not Robert Downey Jr.
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow is a much better actor than what she's asked to do in this movie, but she still does it really well.
I do like her in this one.
I
also do like Yasmin. I forgot about that.
Jensen.
I like
Yasmin Bleeth.
Jeff Bridges kind of phones it in a bit.
But he doesn't need to do much.
He's having a good time.
He's having a good...
I think his look is most of the acting.
Yeah. He looks like he could just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah,
even though he's like a 60-year-old man.
He looks like a brick shithouse in this movie. I mean, in which it makes sense. Eventually, they have him in the giant ironmonger.
Yeah, like when I kind of misinterpreted what was happening when Pepper's downloading the files. Stain walks in the door. I thought that was it. Like, I thought the jig was up. Like, he knew why she was there.
It seems like he's like 85% sure, but he doesn't want to attack her just in case.
Exactly. But then weirdly lets her leave. Like, he just, like, the minute before he's
upset about it.
He waits for her all the way to leave and then minimizes one window and goes, "Oh, son of a bitch." Like, he was doing the thing I thought. And then watches her menacingly.
Then you're like, oh, he's going to, like, call the front desk and be like, "Hey, don't let her leave."
Yeah, don't let her leave.
No,
or like,
he just
Coulson
goes
has
to
do
the
some weird stuff.
He just goes to the stairwell and is like,
broods. Yeah. But yeah, no, like when he was in that doorway, I was just like, oh, he's gonna just fucking murder her. Like, and like, I'm like, I know she's in the future movie, so I'm like, how the fuck did she get out of this? But yeah, obviously how it happened.
So instead of Paltrow, let's talk about Bridges and specifically his character in this. What's his plan? Because he wants to be
well, he wants to be a warmonger.
Yeah.
But I just mean, what's his end game? No pun intended. Once he starts being out in the middle of the highway murdering people, is he still going to get to be the CEO of Stark Industries?
I mean,
because he has to go before the board and explain that.
Yep.
No one knows it's him, right? That he's this Iron Man.
I mean, they do make like a kind of ha joke. It is, still Bush's second term, and they're like, "Oh, the government's just going to lie to everybody about what this is." But I think it's different when there's actually like a dude out there picking up cars on the highway and throwing them. And
he like ripped a bike off of a guy at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would assume his thought was probably either I have to kill everybody and then no one will know it's me, or everyone knows it's me already, so I'm just gonna kill Tony Stark because I've already been found out.
Because the best case scenario is they don't find out it's him. But they have to be like, yeah, we did make a robot that went a little crazy. It started trying to kill
going
people.
Into the robot suit was maybe not the best idea, I guess.
No. So I just don't see how it plays out in his favor, even if he does kill Tony.
Could we talk about real quick, since I mentioned Coulson, that bit where he spells out or he says out the name, like S.H.I.E.L.D.'s name 4 times is way better than it should be, and it's only aged more and more, like, cause like
it's only
Shield,
funnier.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. is a known thing. There's a show, like people know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is.
Yes.
Even in that universe, they know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is.
Yeah, they know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, and it's very funny every time.
Yeah, there is an element still of what Sam Raimi didn't do with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man which is the only way I pronounce that. It's funnier. Which is they are kind of almost leaning towards winking.
Yeah.
Almost leaning towards kind of apologizing that we have to talk about all this nerd shit.
Yeah.
Like Captain America's shield is in one shot of Tony's workshop, but we're not going to
Yeah.
really talk about it.
Yeah.
And he keeps doing the thing where he's spelling out shield, which is just like, fans will get it, but whatever else isn't. But I actually think in their, to devil's advocate myself, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's not as insulting in this one. I think it genuinely is. I mean, it's 2008. Like, this version of Marvel movie hasn't been on a big screen before. And the first time that he says that acronym, if you're a huge Marvel head in the audience, that's probably pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit,
Yep.
they're going to do shields.
Yep. And yeah, Nick Fury's in the final.
Yeah, because I doubt that was part of the trailers. I haven't gone back and watched, but
No.
they didn't just have, I forgot his name, but the guy who plays Coulson. And
Clark
Will
Gregg.
Clark
Gregg. I was
Gregg.
gonna say Will Gregg. So it's
No.
like we got.
it's just like, I know he's married to Jennifer Grey, but
Yeah.
If anything, I think if he's in the trailers, he's barely in it, and he's just a guy in a suit.
right, why
so-
would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That his whole existence is just sort of Easter egg-y. I appreciate that. It's good.
Yeah. He does a good job.
It is weird. Yeah, the kind of like sexual politics of it all
Yeah.
aren't great. The only time two women talk to each other is real catty.
Yep.
Teddy is also putting it lightly.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's a haymaker for no reason.
And because
That
it's a-
lady's not even wearing pants, and you're just
Yeah.
going off on her.
You can argue that Pepper's obviously in love with Tony.
I think you could argue that. Yeah,
no Bechdel test pass either because they were talking about
Yep.
Tony.
that's what I mean.
Yep.
I mean, everyone's talking about Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because Brie can't be on, she didn't
Yeah, she can't.
deputize
She can't.
herself
She
as
can't.
the Bechdel test.
Yeah.
It does pass the Mechtel test, though. It are two men talking about someone who's not the main character, which it barely passes. I'm talking about Tony again.
Once Jeff Bridges goes into the Ironmonger suit, do you think they're putting effects on his voice, or do you think he's just doing Tony?
I think he's doing
I
that.
think whatever he did for Tron, they just
He's having a good time, and he got paid. Hopefully, well, not as much as Terrence Howard, but
Yeah.
hopefully he still got paid.
he this was like right before like Crazy Heart and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
True
that was
Grit.
2011.
Yeah, he
so
hasn't-
he's not an Oscar winner yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't gone into Oscar mode because True Grit is what 2011, 2012,
2010,
2010.
I think.
2010.
And he's been nominated for Oscar before.
Yeah.
I think he got nominated for Last Picture Show and Starman, maybe.
Yep.
If not, he should have been nominated for Starman.
Yeah.
They all should have been nominated for Starman.
Starman's good. Hey, go watch Starman.
That's our recommendation at the
Yeah.
end.
I only watched it for the first time this fall when Blank Check was doing Carpenter, and that movie kicks ass.
I should say I actually haven't seen it.
That
do
movie
wanna see it.
kicks ass. It's the oh god, I forgot her name from Marianne from the first Indiana Jones,
Oh, I don't remember her name
No,
either.
Karen Allen?
Karen Allen,
Thank you.
and it's basically a road movie two-hander with her and Jeff Bridges, except Jeff Bridges is an alien being who looks like her dead husband, and holy shit, it's great.
No, that
She's
sounds
awesome.
amazing.
She's awesome in it.
Yeah. She's good. I wish she was in more things.
There's
well,
a-
I mean like
She's an Indy 4.
to new stuff. She pops up.
So yeah, I think Jeff Bridges is having a good time. Tony.
I also do we want to talk about the fact that like we've kind of alluded to it, but like that Robert Downey Jr. was like this was a stretch. Like people were like, "Wow, we're giving Robert Downey Jr.
that's
this role."
Why they paid him $500,000
Yeah.
for this one.
like
They knew
he's-
they could just get away with it.
Yeah, like I mean, I was
To star in a $140 million budgeted movie, they gave him less than
Yeah.
$1 million.
because like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was not a big movie. Shane Black directed. I think he ends up directing Iron Man 3, but he
does.
directs.
He does a pass or gives notes on Iron Man 2's script
Yeah.
too, but he directs.
because they want to punch up Tony's dialogue a little bit. I
Oh
believe.
man, and if Iron Man 3 was just a little more of a Shane Black movie. But
Yeah.
whatever.
But like, yeah, I mean, you watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you can see like that's just like I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is playing himself in all these movies. It's fine. He just like tweaks it a little bit. like a wrestling persona kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But like he's in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, it's the same kind of dialogue in everything, like from him. He's just in Tony Stark, he's just a little more arrogant and obviously way smarter, and like that's basically the character, and like rich.
And yeah, he gets to be rich, so he gets to do more, and whatever he says, he can just back it up because he can just pay for it or make it, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's also in the Richard Linklater Scanner Darkly 2006. So like I think, and like this and Tropic Thunder come out pretty similar times, and like the whole talk is like Robert Downey Jr. is not only back, but he's like the biggest star in the world, which is like a really weird time. Even for like, I'm 18. I knew who Robert Downey Jr. was because like I'd seen like U.S. Marshals, like in some movies back in the day. It's like
Chaplin.
Yeah, it was like this weird like 80s and 90s like problematic actor is now like what, in his late 40s and somehow the most cool, like the coolest guy on the planet. It was a really weird thing.
He becomes famous playing a exaggerated version of himself as the ultimate cool guy.
Yep. And then gets nominated for an Oscar and a comedy for Best Supporting Actor.
Still a great nomination.
And arguably probably wouldn't have won if Heath Ledger wasn't like, that wasn't the Heath Ledger Joker year.
I feel like if anything, he's like second place.
That's what I mean. Like it's not. I walked out of Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder has not aged well. I would like to throw that out there for many reasons. But
yeah, it's that thing where it's like, well, that's the joke, and it's like, yeah, but still.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, he's got blackface on, and the whole thing is that he shouldn't, and everybody knows he shouldn't, and
people are constantly telling him.
Yeah,
that
they have a black actor in there to cut it, so like he can be like, the "What do you mean, you people?" line is good,
but still,
but yeah, not good. There's
like Iron Man 2, like Iron Man 2, Tropic Thunder, written by Justin Theroux.
Yep. So yeah, a lot of
Theroux getting around.
Yeah. I did want to talk about. He also, I don't know how many. Like I know everyone remembers this movie, but it's weird. Like so they have this movie. I think he does like a couple things in 2009. He also has done Zodiac. Robert Downey Jr.
in like 2005.
He does, like 2007. It doesn't matter. Before Iron
2007,
Man. So like it's like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is back, and then it's like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is like huge, and then it's like he just keeps getting like heat check movies. So it's like, oh, Sherlock Holmes. I don't know. Yep. Can he be in a? Can we get 9 Sherlock Holmes
bizarrely
movies?
Successful?
Yep.
Miniseries from
and then
it's all Guy Ritchie, right?
Yes. Then 2010 is Due Date, which if I don't know who remember, like, or if you guys remember this at the time, you have the biggest star in the world. And you got Zach Galifianakis coming off of Hangover. So like the thought was like, we have the A list movie like star, and we have the funniest person on the planet according to like the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And we have them both in a movie that we're gonna put out for relatively small budget because it was all like done before like all these things happened.
And we also put Jamie Foxx in there just for fun.
Yeah, and it's fine.
I like that movie a lot more than most people.
Yeah, Brie also says you really like Due Date.
No, I've never seen Due Date.
I've seen it. It's good.
Yeah, I think because it came out and this guy's like, whatever.
But like, it's just kind of nuts that like I just looked at that. I was like, I remember how much hype was behind that movie, and it was fine.
Yeah,
it's a reason we don't remember it in the same way we do like Superbad and like other stuff from that era.
Yeah.
Should we talk about other Robert Downey Jr. movies from the time? The Soloist,
The
Judge. End of list.
He has a cameo in Chef a few years later.
Oh yeah, he does.
We haven't talked about Jon Favreau.
Oh, Johnny Favs.
I forgot how little he is in this as Happy, considering Happy's like the third lead of the last 2 Spider-Man movies.
So it's very funny to me, someone who hasn't seen any Iron Man movies. Happy's not really in the Avengers movies that much at all.
He's in the other Iron Man more.
Yes,
he's in Iron Man 2 a lot.
But I think he's mostly in the Spider-Man movie.
I was gonna say, color me confused when I'm watching Spider-Man and Jon Favreau's just there and people know who he is. And like they're not doing an elaborate like, hey, I'm Robert, like I'm Happy and I'm blah blah blah. People are just calling him Happy and people know who he is. I have no idea who this guy is. I don't read the comics, so I don't even know the comic character. I'm just like, why does everyone just know who Jon Favreau is? And now I know. It's because he's in these. Well, I figured it out later, but it was like, oh, he's in these movies.
Yeah, and I feel like I should have mentioned earlier, next episode, we'll have someone on who does read comic books. So, so just for, like I did a caveat in the Captain America episode, I apologize if you're really into comics. Mostly just talking about the movies on this podcast, but I will have someone who knows what they're talking about one of the 5 episodes this month. So Favs directs this movie, obviously. Obvious because if you as long as you don't avert your eyes right at the end when it says like a Jon Favreau movie.
Yeah.
And Happy as a character isn't really here.
No, he's basically nothing.
Yeah,
he's just a
basically-
driver.
He's essentially like the Alfred Hitchcock cameo.
Yeah, it's kind of like just above a cameo.
Oh, good Stan Lee cameo. We should throw that in there.
Yeah,
this is one of the
better
have
ones.
fake out rather.
I think Ultron maybe has my favorite Stan Lee one.
Which one's that one?
Is that the one where he gets really drunk? And they're like carry
Oh,
him out and he goes like Excelsior.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
My two favorites are the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man where he's in the library with the headphones on and they have the
That
whole
one's
fight
good.
scene. And I also like Deadpool where he's the DJ at the strip club.
That's good. And I will an honorable mention to his cameo in the PS4 Spider-Man game. That one is really good. Not even kidding. That one's
Yeah.
really good.
Into the Spider-Verse one, also very good.
Yes. It always fits, and then the sign that says
half
all
off.
sales are
Oh,
final.
that's it.
thing.
Yeah. Highest grossing actor in history right now
Yeah, I think so.
because he's
Gotta
a
be,
cameo
right?
in all those movies.
Either him or The Rock. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Samuel
No.
Jackson is up there because he got a good
Oh,
chunk of
yeah,
most of
it's
them,
Samuel
And
he's
the
been
third,
in 80 movies.
Jason Ratzenberger.
Oh yeah, because of all the
Pixar.
all the Pixar movies.
John, right?
John Ratzenberger.
John Ratzenberger.
Yeah.
Did I say
Like,
Jason?
who the heck is Jason Ratzenberger?
Ratzenberger.
It's his son, Ham Jr.
I think that I think we've basically covered the movie. There's just so much that's happened around this movie that is sort of what we focused on. And I think that's fine. This is my first experience with Disney Plus's IMAX enhanced versions.
I didn't even know they had that.
So on Disney Plus, Iron Man and a few of the other MCU movies are so-called IMAX enhanced. And what that means is IMAX, you can film on IMAX or you can just show your movies in IMAX. But there's an IMAX format that's taller than widescreen or taller than 16 by 9, whatever.
So you turn your TV on its side.
You got to turn your TV on your side, get another TV, put it next to it. That's IMAX. So in the IMAX enhanced versions on Disney Plus, they letterbox, they put big black bars on the top and the bottom. And then some scenes, the scenes that IRL, whenever these movies came out, although I think for Iron Man, it wasn't in IMAX when it came out. It wasn't until that 10-year anniversary in 2018 they put it in IMAX. Sorry, too much information. There's parts of it where all of a sudden it's bigger and it fills your whole TV instead of having the black bars. I noticed the first time it happened, which is when the bomb goes off on the caravan right at the beginning, and I never noticed it again. But I assume it's during the action sequences.
Yep.
It's just like a weird gimmicky thing so they can write IMAX enhanced on it. Obviously, this launches the MCU, right?
Yeah.
This
Yep.
is the
Logic.
end credit sequence, which
Yep.
introducing the end credit sequence, which now every movie I go to, I feel the need to Google in my seat when the
Yep.
movie ends. Is there an after
Yeah,
credits?
yeah. I always have to pee, so I gotta
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and then it's like, no, this was a drama.
Yep.
This wasn't a superhero movie.
This is another Richard Linklater movie. Please
Does the
do it.
Northman come back at the end?
Oh, do they introduce the Southman?
I did like that.
Nick Fury comes out. He's like, I want to talk to you about the Northman Initiative.
Is there anything at the end of Moonlight? Does it become sunlight?
The light universe. Spotlights and they're all the same.
Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get all that.
So
Did Jesus show up at the end of the Noah Ark movie?
We're putting together a team.
what was weird about the Northman is that Harry Styles did show up with a tiny troll played by Patton Oswalt.
It's
But
so weird.
that was the mid credits, so it wasn't the end.
That one
credits.
doesn't count.
That wasn't the
They
hammer.
hinted at it.
Yeah. Sony owns that too. So
Yeah,
it's all
all different. So to get it clean, so Nick Fury shows up at the end. Samuel L. Jackson coming out of the shadows of just starting a long career of breaking into people's homes and ominously waiting in the shadows to dramatically tell them that they have to do things. And that kicks off the MCU, really. It's born here. Good? We like the MCU.
Yeah,
Was it a good thing?
Yeah, the MCU's good. I mean,
I mean, there's ups and downs.
Yeah.
I'm mostly joking, but yeah, it's great. 14 years, and these are the movies.
Yeah, it gives Disney like that third pillar of like just absolutely smoke show like movie like money making. Like they got Star Wars, they got Pixar, and their own anime.
Yeah.
Like you can count
They're 4 pillars.
Yeah, animated. Yeah, their own animation studio. It's absolutely insane how much money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
and their animation studio is also just diverting into making live actions of their animation studio.
When does Thanos become? I know we're running out of time, but when does Thanos become like? I know they do an end credits with Thanos.
He shows
credits
up
of
in
Avengers.
Avengers.
Is it Avengers?
When does he say, "Fine, I'll do it myself"? Is that Avengers 1?
Could be Avengers 1. I know he's also in Guardians.
It's not
He
Avengers
sh-
1. I
he
think it's
sh-
Guardians.
He shows up
Guardians?
at the end of a movie, and that's like the whole thing because
Yes, he
Well,
shows
he
up at the
end of-
Avengers of.
yeah.
It's at the end of Avengers where he's just floating in the chair.
yeah.
But
And then the end of Guardians 2 is like the final do it myself, right? Or something. Or maybe not that, but
I
he
think it's
showed.
one of the Guardians.
I think it's
he's
Avengers
in
1.
Guardians 1
Yeah. And
as a character.
yeah, and then he shows up in. I think he shows up at the end of Guardians 2, and that launches because like the beginning of Infinity War is just them attacking somebody. I think
No,
it's,
they attack Thor.
it's the end of Thor
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
That's it. Because Loki's there, and there's the whole Loki.
Yeah, and
Guys,
Hulk's
and-
there, and everyone's like having fun.
Yeah, that's right. It's the end of that, and they're like, "What's that?" And
Damn
they're
it.
just like,
We're all wrong. I'll do it myself is the end credits of Age of Ultron.
"Oh, okay."
Okay.
I do remember. I had a limited number because I do remember watching that in a theater and being like, "Ooh, what's that about?"
Oh, and I apologize. It's the mid credits sequence of Age of Ultron.
What's the end credits?
What do you do?
I think they did like a joke one for like all the Avengers, so it's
Ant-Man.
probably like a joke.
Oh, the end. Oh, yeah, because they did.
Yeah, the first one,
shawarma.
shawarma.
Yeah.
I did not like Age of Ultron. I don't know if I can say that yet.
That's
but-
Don't worry,
that is
a lot of
common.
people
That
have
is the
said that.
Just,
common.
we're just
take.
gonna spend an hour and a half fighting robots that don't have faces and no one cares about, and then Kick-Ass is also gonna die. But
I remember being like kind of enthusiastic when Ultron leaves and it's James Spader singing "There's no strings on me," and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this could be a fun time.
yeah,
And it doesn't become any more fun.
losing James Spader is like I feel like we could do.
They wasted Spader.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I feel like we have like maybe not for this podcast, maybe for another one. You could have a pretty good like ranking of like enemies that die or like like antagonists that died in one-offs. Like it's Killmonger's number 1 with a bullet because like you
Yeah.
lose Michael B. Jordan in a great role,
Yep.
but like
Isn't he in Wakanda forever? I feel like
He's probably
Oh,
gonna
maybe
show
he
up
is.
in
I don't
Wakanda
know.
Forever as like one of those like, oh, we gotta go to the tree of with like all the
Yeah,
past
yeah, oh, yeah.
Black
True.
Panthers.
oh
'cause he
yeah,
was a
because
Black Panther.
technically he was a Black Panther and he was
Yeah.
king for a little bit.
but like but just acting wise, you lose him, you lose Jeff Bridges in this movie, you lose Tim Roth, and
Yeah.
Kate
Kate Blanchett in Thor Ragnarok.
Yep, they rip through so many.
Maybe
like,
she won that fight. They leave before
Yeah,
that
that's
fight's
true.
over.
Maybe Ragnarok wasn't so bad.
But yeah, that's up there. There's a lot of movies I don't even know who the bad guy
Yes.
is, so like
Well,
that'll be fun to find out.
And this is something we talked about in Captain America and is true very much of this. The first run of movies, they lock down the stars for 7-picture deals at really cheap. I don't think this was a 7-picture deal for Downey Jr., but obviously they pay him $500,000, as we said a
Yep.
bunch. And then they get really classy people to be the one-offs
Yeah.
around them.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges in this one. Tucci shows up for a day and a half of work in
Yeah.
Captain America. So does
Tim
Tommy
Roth
Lee Jones.
in the Hulk, I
Yes.
think,
Yep.
is Abomination or whatever he plays.
Even
Matt
though,
Mickelson in Strange.
yeah, Mads Mikkelsen in Strange. That's maybe the biggest waste
Tilda
because that
Swinton
character
also.
doesn't even get to do anything.
How much of a waste is he in Dumbledore?
He's good in that.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as a franchise starter goes, you could do a lot worse than Iron Man, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of like movies that have like tried to launch franchises since then. 'cause
every
a lot of
movie,
them-
every movie since Avengers came out. So yeah, Dark
Yeah,
Universe. This
Dark
is
Universe.
actually
The DC universe.
a really good
Yep.
place to end on. So yes, we get Dark Universe, and we know what that means. But Universal tried to reboot the Universal horror movies, a huge thing in the 30s and 40s. Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, those are the big ones. Invisible Man. They tried to do that again. There's a really memeable picture that gets passed around anytime people want to make fun of it, of all the people that were going to star in these movies. So it's Tom Cruise, the woman who is the mummy in the Tom Cruise Simon Pegg mummy,
Yeah.
or Jake Johnson.
Jake
or
Johnson.
Jake Johnson, right.
You're thinking of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I think so. Javier Bardem's in there.
Russell Crowe.
Johnny Depp and Russell Crowe are in there. Russell Crowe actually got to play both Jekyll and Hyde. Also, you just mentioned the DC universe. which did Dawn of Justice and then went right to Justice League.
Yeah. No, they
already-
did Batman v Superman. Is that Dawn of Justice?
Dawn of Justice.
God, it was the Dawn of Justice. No, this
BVS DOJ.
they did Man of Steel, then Dawn of Justice.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
Justice League.
But
They rushed to it.
And I think they had made Justice League before Wonder Woman came out and was successful.
They did.
But then they put more Wonder Woman back in it before it came out because I think Wonder Woman comes out before Justice League, right?
Are they both 2017? I know Wonder Woman is 2017.
And
I think that's
Aquaman's
what
in
happened.
there.
Yeah.
Aquaman's like later, like
Yeah.
2019.
Yes, because they have to spend time introducing Aquaman and Cyborg.
Like Jurassic Park definitely tried to do it.
Jurassic Park is trying to do that too.
It's trying to do it.
Although they are actively saying this is the last one, Dominion's the last world
Oh, yeah.
one.
I don't know. Jeff Goldblum's been in. This will be
It's
the fourth one he's
His
in.
fourth
Yeah.
one.
So, even though he was very obviously only there for one day in the last movie, he was still there in multiple scenes because they just keep going back to
Yep.
that courtroom.
Yep.
Man, I'm excited for this new Jurassic Park. Not because I think it'll be good, but
Yeah. I watched the
think
first
I'll
one and
enjoy
felt
it.
a lot of nostalgia and liked it, and then I promptly just haven't seen any of the other ones.
I see a movie a week in theater, so
Yeah.
you should watch the second one.
Yeah, just for bad reasons.
Honestly, because the first half of it is a sequel to the first universe, the first world,
Yep.
and then the rest of it is a bizarre, like dystopian future dinosaur auction in a mansion home invasion thriller.
Oh, okay.
And then they let all the dinosaurs out and they take over North America.
Oh,
Yep.
no, they did it in
and
two.
then presumably the rest of the world.
And presumably the rest of the world. And that's where we pick up.
Yep.
Pretty much, I guess what we're getting at, the overarching objective of every major studio for the last 10 years has been, how do we get our own Avengers?
Yeah.
Heck, even Disney still tried it with Star Wars.
Yeah.
God, yeah. Yeah, because they were literally trying to...
Every year is going to be a new Star Wars movie, and then it blew up in their face.
Yep.
They were trying to do, we're going to do small stories in between, and every 3 or 4 years, they're all going to come together and we'll have a big mainline Star Wars movie.
Yep. They were going to give the Game of Thrones guys their own trilogy. They're going to give Rainn Johnson his own trilogy.
Yep.
And we know what happened with that.
I had a trilogy at one point. I think you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I had 3 trilogies, actually.
Oh, wow. You
I
Yeah,
only- I only
yeah,
got-
they
Yeah,
really
you had
tested
an
me.
right, the Vosnanology. I
I
remember that.
Yeah.
I only got a one-off, and then Ron Howard took over halfway
Oh,
through.
jeez. Well, you did what you could.
Yeah.
I mean,
You tried to make it your own.
I did.
To
it
be
was
fair-
taking too long. It was going over budget.
to be fair, Alden Ehrenreich was a bad choice.
Yeah.
It's good that they fired you for
It's,
that.
it's okay. I won an Oscar later, so it was
Yeah,
fine.
it's good. Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse was good. You should have had one for Mitchell's versus Machine.
I should have.
You should've.
Yeah. But it's okay. Clone High's coming back.
Is it?
This is the problem. We're just like 7 layers deep on. Like, no one's going to know what we're talking about. Listen to this.
Lord and Miller.
We get it, and we're having a good time. You can't just make Lord and Miller jokes.
Yeah.
Without, I trust my audience. Is that my problem?
I think most of the people who have been on this podcast don't know who Lord and
That's
Miller.
valid.
That's a
Never
shame.
mind the audience.
They enjoy their movies, though. I would hope.
They sure do. But most people don't know the producers of the
No.
cartoons they're watching as a
No.
30-year-old.
No, I just love those guys.
Me too. So, good Iron Man to you, and I don't know how to vent.
4 out of 5 Iron Mans.
We actually,
I would say 4 out of 5 Iron Mans.
Yeah.
this reminds me. So, since the draft day episode was the last one we recorded, I did it for that one. I haven't done it for Captain America yet because I need to go back and ask the guys on that.
Oh, you could have done like stars or something maybe for that one.
We probably will. How many? Just to make it that much more infuriating, we'll rate it out of 5 stripes.
That's fair. I like that so much.
But well, what should be the Iron Man
What are types of
letterbox
metals?
review? Palladium.
5 palladiums. I give 4 palladiums out of 5.
Okay, and these are going to be on the Late to the Movies letterbox. You can find it by getting on Letterboxd, and it's Late number 2 the Movies because it doesn't have enough characters to do to the movies. What do you think? We can all come up with our own scales too.
I give it at least 4 diamonds out of 5.
I'm gonna give it. I think it had a lot to do, and it's kind of looks quaint now, but it did a really good job. So it's 4 Tonys out of 5. I had fun on this one.
Yeah, and that's also that's total movie top 5 star, not Marvel movie 5. So.
Okay.
People that think like I dogged it as not being like a like a top 5 Marvel movie early on. Like I still think it's a very good, definitely top 10 Marvel, top half at the very least. I'd have to look at them, but I don't think it's a bad movie. Like it's a good movie. Marvel movies are good, and surprisingly, and this is a good one. This is a good movie.
And also, this is like a Marvel movie that you can watch without having to watch anything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like any of the references are just small cameo or like references or just Easter eggs. That's it. That's where.
Yep. He just
and it's not all about just Easter eggs. Like
they want to tell a story. Yeah. They want it to be just the Tin Man part of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, they want it to be as if Robert Altman had directed Superman.
Just if they had gotten out of that cave a little quicker, might have had
5 palladiums out of 5.
5 palladiums out of 5. But
hey, thank you guys for being on the podcast, Vaz and Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah, your names are the same backwards and forwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too hard. You can find us on Instagram at latetothemovies_podcast. That's the number 2, not the letters. Same deal with the Gmail account, latetothemovies@gmail.com. You can send us any questions you might have, and we'll answer them on the podcast. Yay. This whole month, we're doing Marvel movies, as I said before, but just so you remember, we're going to do The Avengers next, then Guardians of the Galaxy 1, then Doctor Strange 1. Before the next episode is recorded, the new Doctor Strange movie will be out. I might have seen it by then. I might not have. If I do, I'll give my thoughts to that. I hope it's good. I'm saying that because by the time this episode comes out, that will be out. And you might be like, oh, it's Marvel Month. You're not talking about it. It hasn't come out yet when we're recording this. You should know how recording works. Come on. Anyway. But that's pretty much it. You can go on TeePublic and buy 80 shirts. And that's it. Thanks again for being on, guys. And
Thanks for having us.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Tony!
Da, 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 da.
Iron Man.
I'm Iron Man. I'm Iron Man. But, da, 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 da.
Iron Man.